two, three, four. I gave you all I had to give, and I've done the best I can. So now it's up to you to finish what I began. Yes, I will always love you, and I'll be there just for you. So in all that you do, my child, to yourself you must be true. So promise me that you will fight for what it is that you believe. No matter what you do in life, it's in the giving that you'll receive. Wherever the road may take you, those you meet along the way, promise me that you will count your blessings every day.
And indeed, a very good day, or, as I always say on these podcasts and on these pre-recorded podcasts, whenever you, a very good day or a very good night or even a very good morning to you, depending on whenever you happen to catch this. I am Jason Hawes, back here once again on American Faith Today, and I'm actually recording this again, rather late at night, early in the morning, whatever the heck you want to call it, on April 30th, 2017. So the last day of April. The year, as seems to happen every year, and it seems to happen all the time anymore, the year zipping right by, as you can say we're maybe a third of the way through it, if you want to look at it that way. And no doubt for many, if not almost all of you, when you do happen to hear this and catch this, will probably be sometime into May. But anyway, hopefully you've all been doing well. And I will say, do not quote me on this. As a matter of fact, don't ever quote me on anything, and especially if I've copyrighted it, and then I'll have to sue you, and it'll get ugly, and it'll be like a Donald Trump type of court situation. Okay, I actually haven't copyrighted anything, but in general, do not quote me on anything, but better safe than sorry. But I do believe, if memory serves, and taking a glance, I believe it has been about a week between shows, which actually in a lot of ways, depending on the subject, I would actually not even want them spaced out that far, ideally, although that is kind of the way it went over on the Blog Talk Radio Network. I would usually do one show a week, whether it was every Saturday, every Sunday, depending on my schedule and my days off. But in this case, I certainly would have ideally liked to even do a show one night and then follow up with a show the next day, because this is kind of a continuation, as we're talking about, as I'm talking about, the CIA. And the CIA that we've had for 70 years in this country. It was created in 1947, signed into existence by then President Harry Truman, and the CIA and the National Security Council, all being created at the same time by the same act signed by President Truman. But 70 years of corruption, of chaos, of crime. Again, obviously in most people's minds, the CIA would, in essence, or in theory, be a good thing, and certainly national intelligence, military intelligence, national security, those are things that are pretty much vital to every nation. But when an agency has been going off in its own direction, or maybe under the direction and instructions of individuals that aren't necessarily all that friendly to the American cause, and again, depends on what you want to believe, what you want to subscribe this rogue behavior to. But it has been 70 years of, unfortunately, rather bad acting and rather bad behavior by the CIA, and that is indeed most unfortunate. And it is going to be, I'm going to try to keep it to a two-part show, if you will. When I did it when I did what happened to be, or what's going to wind up being part one, I wasn't sure with the information I had if I could squeeze in basically everything I wanted to squeeze in into one show. And silly me, I should have known that I had too much information to be able to do that. Like I said, I am going to do everything in my power and in my ability to limit it to just a two-part thing. But I'm going to be working today going through finishing up that timeline. I do recall, even though it's been about a week, I do recall basically where I left off from the last show, and I'll finish off kind of the historical aspect. Still, even going away from that, still dipping back into the past and bouncing back forward into the present. But I suppose we could say the bulk of tonight's show, is going to focus more on what's kind of going on in the world right now, and how the CIA is likely involved in world events of today. And when it comes to certainly Syria and the whole war on terror, as it were, and that's kind of going to be the highlight or the focus of tonight's show. Tonight's show, today's show, this morning's show, again, depending on whatever it is, whenever it is that you're listening to it. But I am recording this, like I said, very late at night or very early in the morning on April 30th here. And, again, I've got a lot of information. There's probably some stuff that I will leave out, especially if I am determined and if I am able to make it just a two-part thing. Everything will be linked up. Everything that I use will, and even some stuff that I don't use, will be linked up or will be placed on the American Faith Today Facebook page. And by the way, just for your own reference, if you want to go back and if you want to catch a show, whether it was part one of this or any shows that I've done, there's a couple different ways to do that. And one way is on SoundCloud, and you could, and this should get you there, soundcloud.com/Jason Hawes, Hawes, that's soundcloud.com//Jason Hawes, Hawes. Now on SoundCloud I have very limited storage, and so I usually only have 4 or 5 shows at a time archived, and ones that I need to make space for get deleted. But certainly the more recent ones, you can go and you can check them out. And at Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, again, /user/American Faith Today, all one word, no spaces or anything. Spreaker.com/user/American Faith Today. You should be able to find, hopefully, all the shows that I've done, as Spreaker is the main platform. But, okay, picking up on this idea of the CIA, 70 years of corruption, chaos, and crime, and picking it up again, amazingly enough, I do recall where I left off with this timeline that I've been working through, constructed here by a gentleman by the name of Steve Kangas. And, I don't need my computer. I guess my computer's not necessarily freezing up on me. But anyway, hopefully it's not. But I left off last time with the Iran-Contra scandal. And again, I am picking up, taking place on this timeline here back in 1986. We had the media focusing on the Iran-Contra scandal, the Iran-Contra affair. Congress held their hearings. Several key figures like Oliver North did lie under oath to protect the intelligence community and the CIA. CIA Director William Casey wound up dying of brain cancer before Congress could question him. All reforms enacted by Congress after the scandal were purely cosmetic. And again, going back to the last show, and going back to the creation of the CIA was only accountable, if you can even say they were accountable, only accountable basically to the president. And there was no accountability to the American people. There was no accountability to Congress. Also, at this same period, this same year actually, in Haiti in 1986, and if you'll recall, or if you don't recall, that we helped basically put into power a very brutal dictator by the name of Papa Duvalier in Haiti, and his son, Baby Doc Duvalier, actually took over for his father after his father passed away. And in 1986, Baby Doc Duvalier, and again, this was a family, very brutal. They wound up killing over 100,000 people in Haiti, but it was announced that Baby Doc Duvalier would remain president for life. The U.S., which hated instability in a puppet country, which is what Haiti was, flew Duvalier to the south of France for a comfortable retirement. Now, the reason that they had done this, the reason the CIA, the reason that the United States had done this is that they did have a popular revolt against Duvalier rising up in Haiti, and they did not want, again, their little puppet dictator, they did not want his regime threatened, they did not want his life threatened, so they kind of gave him the unofficial title of president for life, but then to make sure that he stayed safe and had a comfortable retirement, they went into Haiti, flew him out, flew him to the south of France. The CIA then rigged the upcoming elections in Haiti in favor of another right-wing military strongman, but violence would keep the country in political turmoil for another 4 years. The CIA then tried to strengthen the military by creating the National Intelligence Service, which suppresses popular revolt through torture and assassination. Fast forward 3 years, in 1989, we invaded Panama to overthrow a dictator that, again, the CIA had put in place, and of course you may very well know that was Manuel Noriega. General Noriega, who had been on the CIA's payroll since 1966, so 23 years at this point, and had been transporting drugs with the CIA's knowledge. More on the CIA and drug trafficking in this show in a few minutes, but been transporting drugs with the CIA's knowledge since 1972. But since the late 80s, he had started to grow independent and had started to grow kind of resistant to the CIA and to the United States and to our government. And he ran afoul of our government and our intelligence community and the CIA, and so he was deposed. He was thrown out of power. In 1992, the CIA started increasingly getting into economic. Actually, let me back up here. My computer scrolled down on me a little bit too far. Let's go to the Gulf War in 1991, when the U.S. liberated Kuwait from Iraq. But, of course, Iraq's dictator, obviously Saddam Hussein, another creature, another puppet of the CIA, and with the United States' encouragement, it was Hussein who invaded Iran in 1980. During this 8-year war, which again, actually even getting back to the book of Daniel, the series that I did, there was really no victor in this 8-year war, but the CIA sided with Iraq, building up Saddam Hussein's forces with sophisticated arms, intelligence, training, and financial backing, cementing Hussein's power at home, allowing him to crush the many internal rebellions that erupted from time to time, sometimes with poison gas, and gave him all the military might he needed to conduct further adventurism in Kuwait. Again, eventually, though, we decided that Saddam was not really behaving, so thus the Gulf War. And he, of course, did gas the Kurds in Kuwait. You also had, though, in 1992, again, economic espionage. In the years following the end of the Cold War, the CIA was increasingly used for economic espionage, involved stealing the technological secrets of competing foreign companies and giving them to American ones. Given the CIA's clear preference for dirty tricks over mere information gathering, the possibility of serious criminal behavior was very great indeed. And again,